Yep, I think I'm good. Okay, thank you, Miss Evelyn Rivera. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Now, in this particular keynote that I'm doing, I encourage you to give yourself the opportunity to really just pay attention to what I'm going to talk about here, because I want you to get a really huge takeaway from this when it's done. And if you allow yourself to be in the right headspace to receive, I believe that you'll get a lot more out of it. So as you know, some of you know, I'm assuming everybody knows me here, but I guess everybody doesn't. I started with educational platform. I learned about real estate and all of the benefits that it can get. And once I learned about this, it's like I became an evangelist for it. And I'm like, listen, all dentists need to learn about passive investment real estate, because the stuff that they've told us, our financial advisor told us, they've duped us, right? They pulled the wool over our eyes a little bit. And 401k plans, all this stuff, that's BS. I need to let dentists know about cash flow. I need to let people know about rich dad, poor dad, and implementing that for themselves. And so I started a YouTube channel. Right, the YouTube channel had tremendous success. We've had lots of that. We've had hundreds of thousands of hours of views in a very short period of time for the type of content that we're putting out. So I'm very proud about that. We also have a website, right? It's tons of downloads and resources. That also led, and this has tons of resources, like stuff that I wish I knew as a dentist when I was getting started. Right, all the stuff that I know, I put that all on content. Then we started building a community. Right, I had my group called Facebook Financial Freedom for Dentists Through Passive Investing. If you're not part of that group, definitely join it. It's a community of 1,500 dentists. And it's like-minded people that are just starting their journey, to people that are very well experienced in their journey, and everybody in between. It's all dentists that are all attempting to achieve financial freedom through passive investment. It's a great place to communicate with me. We have a weekly live show. Please do join that group if you haven't. And going back to this community, right? This community is a reflection of value, of this community. It's bigger than me, right? This is a vibrant community that we're building. It's getting bigger every day, and we're adding a collection of people so we can all experience more, grow bigger, better, faster, and stronger. And of course, the walk of wealth, right? So I created a real estate investment company. This was for dentists. The mission is to help 1,000 dentists achieve financial freedom through passive investment real estate. As we said in the beginning, we've been very busy. We've helped over 100 dentists get started, and we've done over $301 million worth of real estate transactions over the last 5 years. So very proud of what we've done and how many people we've helped spread awareness to, and actually helped start achieving, multiple streams of income, et cetera. We had so much success that very quickly, right, people were reaching out to us left and right, and we realized very quickly, like, hey, look, this is an area of tremendous need, right? And we created this company that people, a lot of dentists, they don't know how to get started. Even if they know real estate's a great way, they don't have the energy, they don't have the time, the capacity, or the knowledge to get into real estate. So we realized, like, hey, look, this is a great place for us to come in and hold hands, dentist hands, and manage them through the world of private offerings, right? So we're professional at doing that. And so I set a very audacious goal, right? So this BHAG, for people that are not familiar with this acronym, it stands for the Big Hairy Audacious Goal. So we set a big, hairy, audacious goal that we are going to have $1 billion of real estate assets under management over the next 5 to 7 years. And by achieving that, if we can achieve that, then we're going to reach our two main goals, right? Number one is it helped reach our mission of helping 1,000 people become financially free. If we get to that level, we know that we've helped at least 1,000 people. It also allows me to be completely independent of any active income, and one of true freedom, where I get to spend all of my time doing what I want, when I want, where I want, and with who I want, right? So Rob Beardsley said it yesterday, when you've really reached to the whole level of complete level of success is when you don't need an alarm clock anymore. Let that sink in. So this is with an entrepreneur though, right? With any entrepreneur, this is what the reality is. We start off with a goal and we think it's a linear path and we can just follow along and we can achieve the goal if we just do X, Y, Z and get there. But life doesn't work that way, right? Even if you're hitting on all cylinders in one business, like Walk of Wealth just started taking off. Well, there's other parts of your life. Life happens. Personal stuff happens, right? Things happen in other parts of your life. When we get to these lows, how do we keep going? Some people give up, some people don't, right? Let me talk a little bit about it. So Walk of Wealth was taking off. We're an investment firm. Like I said, we're doing a lot of work. We're helping a lot of people. But I also started, all of a sudden, I was also an active real estate investor at the time, right? I had 10 properties. I had a full-time job as an endodontist, had 2 children. I'm completely, but the thing is, the properties that I owned, they were individually small enough that I was buying them because I knew that if anything were to go wrong with the mortgage, I would just be able to cover that by just working a little bit more, right? Because my income is so high as a dentist that I have a safety valve that helps me, that I can bail myself out if I need to, right? I can always cash flow from my big income and cover any unexpected things that happen in my real estate business. And that is true, except for when you have not just one thing happen, but you have 2 things happen at once. So real quick story, I own a small strip mall. The strip mall has also a dental business in it. I'm also a part owner of that dental business, right? We have 2 partners. I'm a silent partner. I have 2 operating partners. So I'm like, this is great. I own the building and I own part of the business that's going into the building. This is a very low risk situation here. Well, things happen that I didn't expect to happen. The 2 operating partners have a disagreement, and the disagreement grows and grows to the point that they can't stand each other and they split up. And now they say, you know what? We don't even care what happens in business. We're just going to pay the loan. Now all 3 of us have owed money on this loan, and they just walk away from the business. Now I'm stuck with no tenant paying, and we have no business to pay the payments on the business. So now I'm covering both of these mortgages, which is okay. I just ramped up the amount I was working. And I was still able to do that. But then the next thing happened, right? I have another property. I had a parking lot. Parking lot's been going great. I've owned this parking lot for 8 years. I've never had to even go to this parking lot. I have a great parking lot manager. He's leased it from me and it's been cash flowing and all of that. So I haven't ever been there. Now he quit, up and quits. He has his wife falls ill with cancer. So they have to move and he doesn't give me any notice. And he's like, hey, look, I'm leaving. And this was a surface. You have to just collect cash from this thing. There's no machines or any of that. It wasn't automated. So he just left the gate open and he left. Now this parking lot was in 3 states away. It's in Pennsylvania. I don't have time to go there and worry about a small parking lot and making sure it's paid because I have work to do as an endodonist and I have to make this extra money now, right, to cover all these things that are happening. So now I have no revenue coming in from the parking lot and I got mortgage there too. And I'm covering everything. At this point now I've ramped up. I'm working weekends. I have this great business growing with Walk of Wealth and I have all these people scheduling calls with me and wanting to learn more about real estate. And I also have all of this going on where I'm trying to work and just trying to cover my cash flow. Things are snowballing, right? And then what happened? This is my wife, Jonny, and her father, right? So her father unexpectedly passes away. And I've never had anybody very close to me die, right? And so I was not familiar with grief and dealing with grief. And he was only 71 years old. She thought she had a lot more time. He was a very strong and healthy man, right? He swam every day. He's from the Bahamas. My wife is from the Bahamas. And he used to go swimming every day in the ocean. He ate healthy, right? So he wasn't a physically sick man at all. And so, as you can imagine, it was very, very hard, right? For a family, especially for my wife, for Jonny. And you can do the math. I had all this stuff going on at the same time. I was physically there, right? We were back in my wife's native country, the Bahamas. But mentally, I wasn't there for her the way that I needed to be, right? It sucks because I can't go back and be there the way that I should have been, right? You can never get that time and that opportunity back. This is on the day that we got married. This is in the Bahamas. This is the day that her dad walked her down the aisle and gave her away, right? So, and you don't got to blow it too many times when it comes to this type of thing to damage what you have. This is a picture of my family, right? Like, and I put my whole family here because my family is a blended family, and I put a little bit of my extended family, my brother there on the far right. And, we have my son, my parents are there. My brother has a daughter from his first marriage. My sister-in-law, Diana, has a son from her first marriage, and now they have a baby together. They just had a baby together. And so my parents are very accepting and our family is very accepting. We have a mixed blended family. We have Filipinos, we have Bahamians, we have Sri Lankans. At reunions, nobody understands. All of our family members all have their accents, and they all talk lovingly to each other, but no one can understand a word that each other is saying, right? So, but it's a great family, and you don't want to. These are the things that I don't want to. These are the people that matter a lot to me, and I want to be there for them, right? So but the thing is, at the same time, what are you willing to do in pursuit of great things? And with all these things happening in the background, right? Like, how do we live a life worth living, and that the things that really matter, right? How do we figure to live within the guardrails, right? How do we keep the ball in bounds? How do we become the people we want to be while at the same time we're accomplishing incredible things? Well, I'm going to teach you a tool that I learned from one of my most impactful mentors, influential mentors. And I learned this at a very expensive mastermind group, at a very retreat, and a very expensive resort in Cabo San Lucas. And it gave me the tools on how to personally handle a lot of the things that I was going through. And I want you guys to be able to pursue and accomplish incredible things in your life, right? But at the same time, I want you to live a fulfilled and prosperous life. Cue in the prosperous dentist. Only those who are willing to risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go, right? In every other room that I speak in, I usually have to convince people to do something. That's what I tell people on my YouTube channel. Like, you got to get started. I said that at the beginning here. Get past your limiting beliefs. I don't want to have to convince you guys to go and do incredible things. I think a lot of the people here, if you're a dentist, you've already achieved some incredible things by even becoming a doctor, right? So, and you guys know that you had to risk and you had to risk something in order to achieve the goal. But only when we realize that we have to risk something to get it is when we do it, right? And the reason that almost no one does incredible things is that they aren't willing to risk everything to do so. The average person, nobody really achieves anything great because they aren't willing to risk everything for it. So the question is, how do you know when you're going too far? How do you know when to put your pursuit of achievement to the side? You start with, hey, I'm doing all of this to support my family and to make sure that they're taken care of, right? That's why we justify going out to work and working so hard and pursuing degrees, pursuing businesses. And we say, look, this is to support our families. But let's be honest, a lot of you watching this right now have reached that point a long time ago. So now at this point, what is it really that you're after? Is this a vanity thing? Is this for you? Is this for your patients? Is this for your staff? Right? Why do you have this practice? So I want to create a lifelong algorithm for you that will answer these questions. Now, most people, they don't give any thought to their death until they're approaching the end of their life. Said another way, most people don't give any thought to their life until it's about to end. Now, when Jonny's father passed away at a relatively young age, I'm sure he thought he had years to live, right? I don't want the people in the summit to wait until it's too late to think about these things. I don't want you to wait to start thinking about how you want to be remembered. I don't want you to wait till it's too late for you to even start asking these questions. Right? Does anybody hear me? Anybody feel me what I'm saying here? Let me know in the comments for sure. So you can make better questions by asking these questions early. So we're going to talk about this. It's a little morbid, but we're going to talk about writing your own obituary. Right? If I had more time on this, I would actually have you guys do this live. And it actually is very impactful. And if you do this I think you'll have a lot. You'll gain a lot of it, right? So what you'll gain from writing an obituary, you give yourself the opportunity to have self-reflection, deep self-reflection, right? You think about connections, right, with the people that you have, connections with the things, the causes. Think about legacy when you're writing your own obituary. What are you doing for the people in the ahead of you, right? Whether it's your heirs, whether it's, sorry, I have to wet my whistle. Whether it's your heirs, right, or whether it's just people that you're trying to affect with your success. So what goes in? I want you to write this. I want you to actually do this, right? So this is some of the stuff you want to make sure, the basic info, the basics about where you're from, where you're born, your career and your life. Talk a little bit about the relationships that matter. And as we work through this process, these are the things that you want to consider. How are we doing for time here? We got good. All right, good. Okay, all right. All right, it's coming along. We're moving right along real well here. Okay, yeah, thank you, Dr. Bingham. I feel you diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2019. Today, no evidence of disease. Well, listen, congratulations. That's an amazing thing to be in. And thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. Bingham. He's coming in from YouTube. He's also a classmate of mine at Howard University, so thanks for being there. All right, so now this is what you're talking about in an obituary. I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster here. Describes the essence. What describes you as in your essence from an early age, right? What are 4 words or phrases to describe your closest relationship? So answer all these questions individually, then go back and put them into your obituary, right? So what was your greatest achievement? Write that down. What is the essence of how you pursued your greatest achievement? Write that down. What is the mantra or 3 that mantra or the? I don't know what that means. Mantra that you have. It should say mantra that you have or aspire to live by. Who will you miss when you are gone? What was your role in your family? Imagine, and again, you're thinking about this in the perspective of you're at the end of your life, right? When you're answering these questions. So you really have to think, what would be your greatest achievement if you lived to 90 years old, right? How did you make the world a better place? These are all things to consider, right? So answer all of these questions. That's the next step. So here's the time where I would say, hey, look, guys, we're going to take 10 minutes. Go ahead and put all those answers to those questions, those thoughts, put them together and go ahead and write it. But obviously, in essence of time, and I wanted to give time for all my other speakers. There's actually one already waiting in the wings. So I'm going to just keep going. But please, on your own time, do this. This is my obituary. Right? I wrote it. I shared it. I debated sharing this in open public, but here we go. All right. So here's mine, right? So it says, on the 19th of 2064, Dr. Jonny Withanacci passed away peacefully at the age of 84. He was born on October 22nd, 1978 to loving parents, Jay and Chitra Withanacci. In his early life, Jonathan was a great friend to others, as well as a leader when he used to organize neighborhood street hockey games at the age of 9. A natural athlete, he dreamed of one day playing in the NHL. He was also at the top of his class through high school through college, while still being one of the coolest kids around. From an early age, he marched to the beat of his own drum. While attending University of Alberta, he studied biological sciences with a minor in business. After graduating from U of A, he went on to study dentistry at Howard University and endodontics at NYU. He excelled as an endodontist, treating tens of thousands of patients, employing many people, and serving his community proudly. His love of teaching landed him as a faculty member, training future endodontists soon after retiring. In 2021, he went full-time into real estate and business and poured his heart and soul into it. He pursued his passion and lived a life creating value, educating, and serving others. On 9/11/2001, Jonny met and later married Jonice, the woman of his dreams. Together, they created a life filled with dedication for each other, love, connection, and warmth. Jonny and Jonice went on to have 2 children he loved unconditionally, Nia Sahaya Withanacci and Carter J. Withanacci, who adopted their family mantra to live life abundantly. He is survived by Jonice, Nia, and Carter, who are both still alive. He was also survived by his 6 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. Though Jonathan amassed a significant amount of wealth through his career, through a combination of advanced and sometimes aggressive strategies, his estate will pay 0 taxes upon his passing. Thank you for that. Hey, anybody like my obituary? Let me know in the comments. Now drop a fire emoji. It took a lot for me to even share it and to read it. And even when I read it, I get a little emotional about it, right? So when you think about it from the end of your life, you think about all these people that you care about. You want them to also care about you and love you and remember you in a certain way. You don't want them to remember you as, oh, I'm the guy who's always working. You know, he was a great man, but I didn't see him a lot. So this is what I would ask anybody. I would never ask anybody to do it, but usually at this time, I would ask somebody if they're willing to share theirs, right? And that's very powerful because it helps everybody else as well. You can see that you can see from the prompts that I've inserted, right? In mine, let me bring that back up. In the prompts that I've inserted, right, I've placed some of the narratives of my life, right? I went about things about how I want to be remembered, right? The key words and phrases that drives the way that I act every day and right, the way that I pursue things. So any life mantra that you have or your family has or that you want to have in the future, definitely put that into your obituary and be specific. What day are you actually going to pass away, right? This is putting putting a timeline on it, right? When you realize 2064, that doesn't seem that long away. Right. So this helps you to keep things in perspective. And so definitely be very specific when you do this. I say that Dr. Alexander said, me and my wife will do this in real therapy. That yes, I think we should all do this. Now, the next thing that you do, you take your obituary and you select only 5 words or phrases that you are most important for you to be remembered by. Right? Thank you, everyone, as well. Right? These are the 5 words that you want to be remembered by. So you take your obituary and you pick 5 words or phrases and you can only choose 5. Right? So you can see here, these are I highlighted the ones that I'm using. And remember, your algorithm is the algorithm through which you live your life. Now, in this room, most people's algorithms are driven by pursuits. Now, but if your pursuit of achievement ever jeopardizes your 5 words or phrases that you wrote down, it's jeopardizing your entire life. You understand? This is what you're getting from this obituary. This is my lifelong algorithm, right? If I march to the beat of my own drum, I had a dedication for Jonny's, warmth, living a life creating value and serving others, and living life abundantly. This is what is important for me, right? If I'm doing anything that's going to violate any of these things, it's jeopardizing my legacy, right? And these are my guardrails. These are my safety bars. So if you feel like you're on a roller coaster and you're bouncing against these guardrails, these guardrails are supposed to help to protect you from going out of bounds, right? You have to go out of balance a little bit sometimes. And that's why you're even here at the summit, because you're looking for more. Well, guess what? You need to have guardrails. This is how you know what you have. We want to achieve great things, right? We want to great things, but we don't want to jeopardize our life in the pursuit of achievement. We don't want to jeopardize our legacy in the pursuit of achievement. We don't want to jeopardize our relationships that matter most, right? Don't make that mistake. Like my lifelong algorithm here, even focusing on warmth. That's my goal for this year. Because sometimes when I'm getting super focused, I'm super analytical, I can come off as cold, right? And when I come off as cold, and I want to change that. I want to be somebody, hey, I'm warm. Every time you come near me, this is the energy of what I'm radiating, right? So this is what I'm focusing on that. So remember, this is your plan. This may be your reality. But if you have your guardrails in place, you can achieve things without going too far. All right, that is my that's all I have for today. Hope you got a great value from this. If you did, please drop a fire emoji for me, and I will see you on the next video.